Hello everyone. On behalf of the SMEA Association, I'd like to welcome you all here this morning and introduce you to our presenter, Jen Barnes. Jen comes at this in a very personal way, having applied the very training to her manufacturing business 2 years ago. Since then, she hasn't looked back. Over the last 30 years, Jen has started, built, bought, sold, financed, franchised and mentored businesses. Now, given there's no live Q&A on today's session, please hang around to the end, note down Jen's email, and she'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions. Additionally, you'll hear about a very special scholarship grant that the SME Association has kindly donated. So, over to you, Jen.
Well, hi everyone. Let's get going. It's one action-packed hour ahead. So, the reason your websites and ads don't work is because everything you've ever learned about generating leads and growing your business is wrong. Yeah, scary. Not for long though, folks. Look, today's presentation is all about showing you a system for marketing your business to a point where it becomes instantly obvious to all of your prospects that they would be an absolute idiot to do business with anyone other than you at any time, anywhere, or at any price. I'm going to start the day with a case study. It happened to me when I started a flooring contracting business back in the early 90s. Real world example, and I'm sure some of you will be able to relate to this. Spending around 10 grand on a radio campaign. Ran for 7 to 10 days. Phone rang 15 times. You can imagine my joy. Resulted in one $2,000 job. I know you're doing the math in your head. So for you, that's a net loss of 8 grand. And that happened a few times. It's nasty. It's way too typical. But once you apply this training, once I applied this training to my business, here's the parallel universe. Same business. Spent $1,300. Changed what the ad said. Instead of getting 15 calls and 1 sale, 137 and 37 sales. Hiking the job cost up by $500 to 2.5 grand. Oh, that's on average. 92,500 in total versus an 8K loss. No brainer, folks. It's all about big bang and little buck. That's what you're here to learn today. I'm going to show you how to leverage what you're already doing just by changing the way you do your marketing. And I'm not talking about radical changes here, not at all. Just simple, common sense changes that enable you to exponentially leverage what you're already spending on your marketing. This is a breakthrough in advertising and marketing, and it's easy to understand and implement. It's going to show you what your marketing is supposed to look like, and probably more importantly, what it's not supposed to look like. This is a marketing system that's based on unchanging principles of human nature, and that is that people always want to make the best buying decision possible. Our job as marketers of our business, is not to ramble on about how great we are or how low your prices are. Our role is to position our potential customers so they have total control over their decision-making processes based on them having enough quality information so that they can determine that they're getting the best value for money. These fundamental formulas and strategies not only make your marketing work better, but will enable you to create market-dominating marketing. I want you to see how powerful all of this is and allow you to comprehend what the possibilities are for your business and what a significant advantage you're going to hold over your competitors when you implement it. Now, first up, I want you to get this really clear in your head. There's a core distinction between strategic marketing and tactical marketing. Okay. Strategic marketing is the content of your message. It's what you say and how you say it. Tactical marketing, on the other hand, is where your message is seen. So it's radio ads, it's websites, it's TV ads, it's trade shows, it's billboards, that kind of stuff. But the key to really effective marketing, folks, is to master the strategic side of marketing, not the tactical. Because I can assure you, it's what you're saying in your marketing and how you say it. It's almost always more important than the marketing medium where you're saying it. The real leverage is in the messaging itself, and that is the strategic side of marketing. In fact, when a radio campaign bombs, like the ones I was showing you earlier, my tendency then, and I'm sure you can relate to this, is to blame the radio station or blame the newspaper or blame the magazine, which is the tactical part of the plan, without any regard whatsoever to how good or bad the strategy was behind the ad in the first place. During this presentation, you're going to learn how to say things in such a way that's going to make a profound difference in your marketing results, no matter how crowded your market is. This revolutionary lead generation system fits every size of business, no exceptions. This strategic side of marketing, this strategic messaging is so important, we've even given it a name, the missing marketing link. Okay, strategic marketing means you're going to stop competing on price and start selling your products and services for what they're really worth. Now, does that sound good? You'll drive in more leads and see an increase in your advertising response by double to more than 100 times, and trust me, I have seen that. It is not out of this world. You'll convert a higher percentage of those leads and turn your salespeople into superstars. They're going to love working for you. You'll increase the amount of your average sale, and you'll get a way bigger bang for your marketing buck. You'll finally have control over your marketing and lead generation results. You'll be able to turn it up, turn it off, turn it on whenever you want. So, the question I pose to you now is, what's the actual purpose of marketing? Look, in a nutshell, marketing is supposed to facilitate a prospect's decision-making process. Some need to buy what you sell. Others need to be educated to buy what you sell. And other times they already know that they want to buy it, but they don't know who they want to buy it from. Irrespective of any of that, most will have questions or concerns that need answering well before they pull out their credit card. Now consider this. Because these prospects are not experts in what you do, they don't really know the relevant issues surrounding the purchase. They don't know how to make the best decision. They can't tell the difference between the best deal and a major mistake. And this leaves an opportunity for you to provide them with this information and then guide them through the buying process. Consider this example. How many home extensions have you ever bought in your life? 2? 5? Or like most of us, maybe 1 or none? Let's assume you fall into that group of people who have never bought an extension before. Do you have any idea whatsoever how to buy an extension? Can you tell the difference between a 20 grand extension and a 50 grand extension? Just by looking at a photo on a website or a brochure. Yeah, probably not. Now realize, when people need to buy what you sell, they are generally speaking just as clueless about buying what you're selling as I am about home extensions. So your job, simply put, is to facilitate your prospect's decision-making process. This is actually pretty simple. All prospects and customers want the exact same thing. They want to feel confident that their money has been well spent and that their decision has been made to the very best of their ability. They want to get the best deal. People instinctively want to make the best decision possible and not feeling like they've got to second guess their decision or get that awful feeling of being ripped off. All you have to do as a marketer is figure out what's important to your prospects. Then educate them as to what constitutes the best deal and the greatest value, and then show them direct proof that you actually provide the best deal in terms of price and value. More emphasis on the value. All this has to be communicated in a way that they'll pay attention to, believe in, and take action on. When this occurs, the prospect gets what they really want from you, complete confidence that they've made the best decision possible and got the best value. Now, here's the problem. Instead of using marketing to educate and facilitate the decision-making process, most businesses fill their marketing with self-serving jargon that really is only a thinly veiled way of saying, hey, buy it from me because I want you to give me the money instead of giving it to my competitor. That's why people have become jaded and why they resist marketing. Prospective buyers want to be educated so that they can feel confident when making their purchase decision, and no one's out there providing it. Here's the really good news though. The first one who provides prospects with quality decision-making information wins all the most profitable customers available and significant market share. Here's a little brutal truth for you. If you're always competing on price, it's 100% your own fault. Yep, sit with that for a bit. From the prospect's perspective, all things appear equal, so they default to the business offering the lowest price. The system I'm showing you today, though, is a step-by-step program for innovating and marketing your business. This system will allow you to first be better than your competition, and second, do better marketing than your competition. This allows you to separate your business from your competition and become the obvious choice for all of your prospects to do business with. Consider this. There are actually two sides to your business. First, there's the inside reality, and second, the outside perception. The inside reality encompasses everything you do. It's your skills, service, commitment, passion. It's the way you conduct your business on a day-to-day basis. Your outside perception, however, is how your customers and prospects and the outside world perceive your business. It's developed through the interactions that people have with your business, be that your marketing or being a customer or not being a customer. But here's the problem. Let's say you provide unmatched, unequaled customer service, and your customers actually love you. None of that matters a jot to your prospects if they don't even know you exist, or because of your inability to market your business properly, their perception is that you're no different, no better, no worse than your competitors. I would estimate that around 95% of businesses out there are completely inept when it comes to marketing their businesses, and the end result is that your inside reality and your outside perception are wildly different. You see, regardless of how good you are, regardless of your inside reality, your prospect isn't going to be able to figure out your true inside reality based on your current marketing. You simply appear to be just another business selling whatever it is you sell. Remember me, the flooring contractor? 137 calls versus 15? Man, that's an extra 122 calls a month. Those calls came in because of a change I made to my marketing. I changed what the marketing said to accurately reflect the inside reality of a very particular niche expertise. Your marketing's just got to do the heavy lifting for your business and deliver eager, qualified prospects to your sales funnel. Look, competition today is more fierce now than ever, and it's getting worse. The number of competitors you have right now is the number of choices your prospects have. That's how many businesses they've got to sift through as they attempt to reach a buying decision. In a nutshell, businesses advertising on and offline spend a ton of money, time and effort getting prospects to their website or to read an ad. And let's take the website example for a second. What do they see when they actually get there? They see the same lame old junk like service, dependability, quality they saw in the lame old brochure before the internet was invented. The same lame old junk that is in all their competitor websites too, so I guess everybody's equal in that regard. They then curse the internet. The internet doesn't work. The reality is they're probably getting enough traffic, enough qualified traffic to their site. It's their lame website messaging that is the real problem. The reality is that the internet is really just another medium to screw your marketing up in. But you do need to have a website, but make it one that works. And that means making sure that your strategic messaging is right, or it's going to limp along like it is now, at best. There's an old saying, if you want to know why Jane Doe buys what Jane Doe buys, you've got to see the world through Jane Doe's eyes. But the problem is that while most businesses are very good at knowing what Jane Doe wants, they really don't have the ability of marketing their inside reality to the outside world through advertising and marketing. They just can't lead their prospects to say, I would be an idiot to do business with anybody other than you, anytime, anywhere, any price. Look, we've been successfully generating leads for business owners now for a couple of years, but the wider business has been doing this for 20. And it's been my experience and collectively the team's experience that most businesses could stand some improvement in both their inside reality and outside perception. But for some reason, they really struggle with their outside perception. In other words, they've got great businesses. Most of them offer exceptional value. They have a really good inside reality. But with all the competition that exists today, they have a major problem differentiating themselves from the rest of the marketplace. They're simply not getting the value of their business across to those on the outside looking in. What's your outside perception like? Go grab a piece of marketing or have a look at your website. Is it instantly obvious what makes you better, unique, or different from your competitors? Do you show your prospects how to judge your entire industry? Or what factors they need to consider when buying what you sell? And how you provide greater value than any of your competitors. Most businesses' outside perception is nowhere near an accurate reflection of their inside reality. So I'm going to show you why this is happening and what you can do to fix this for your business forever. I told you at the beginning of this presentation that everything you know about generating leads and growing your business is wrong. Now let me clarify exactly what that statement means based on what we've discussed so far. The reason everything you currently know about marketing does not allow you to accurately portray your inside reality to the outside world is a product of decades of being conditioned to do marketing the wrong way. In the very early days of advertising, and now I'm talking the late 1800s, much of the advertising that existed back then was comparative in nature. Ads wouldn't just say, hey, we're better. They'd say, hey, we're better and here's exactly why, based on this or that. Back then, advertising did a pretty good job of building a case and helping prospects understand the important issues in regards to their particular product or service. The result was that the outside perception was generally a pretty good reflection of the inside reality. Then, the most significant event in the history of marketing and advertising occurred in 1945. Television was commercially introduced for the very first time. Up until then, total national advertising was extremely limited to radio and print advertising, and very, very expensive. But with the introduction of television, larger advertisers could buy a TV commercial and reach just about every single living person in the country for $4,000 a minute, usually sold in 1 or 2 minute chunks. What a bargain, even in 1950s money. But back then there were only 3 channels, so demand quickly outstripped supply and prices shot through the roof. In response to that rising cost, the length of commercials shrank down from 2 minutes to 30 seconds. This meant that advertisers had less time to educate us on the important and relevant issues and build a case as to why they were different, better, or unique. So instead of attempting to use shorter ads that highlighted their comparative benefits, advertisers changed tactics and started using slogans. That change made it harder and harder for the outside perceptions to accurately reflect inside realities. But remember, marketing's first job is simply to get the prospect's attention. Even running just 30-second ads, getting attention still wasn't a problem for these advertisers. But then what? That's right, after you grab a prospect's attention, you must next facilitate their decision-making process. Companies and their ad agencies found that this was a lot harder to do in 30 seconds. But I tell you what, they also found that they didn't really need to do it. Because the number of real competitors, that is, the number of competitors that could actually afford to go head-to-head and advertise against them on television, was wonderfully few. They could spend a ton of money running 30-second ads and win by default. Now, if there happened to be 2 or 3 major competitors jockeying for the same prospects, like the Pepsi and Coke scenario, that was fine because there was plenty of business to divide 2 or 3 ways. The bottom line is that a company's inside reality and outside perception didn't really have to match up. The lack of choices eliminated this necessity. So the focus for all marketing and advertising shifted to simply getting the prospect's attention. That's when advertising lost its focus on selling and shifted its focus to creativity. The idea was to get in the consumer's brain with something creative that would stimulate them and cause them to recall the product later on. That's when slogans became the de facto marketing standard that's still in use today. Breakfast of Champions, home of the Whopper, beans means Heinz, you get the idea. This new creative approach took over advertising as we know it and has filtered into all advertising media, including radio, newspaper, magazines, billboards, and in more recent times, websites and the entire online world. Once this new creative message was in place, the big companies spent lots of money and basically gave people no other option but to remember their message. I tell you what, after hearing things go better with Coke for the 8,000th time, you're going to remember that whether you want to or not. We call this C&R advertising. C for creativity, R for repetition. We call this the era of the brand builders. It's the 1950s, 1960s, 1970s, and it was a no-brainer formula for market dominance for these companies with the budgets to pull it off. And that's when it happened. Ad agencies started running this formula for all of their other clients, even the small ones that didn't have deep pockets. Business schools started teaching marketing and advertising based on the methods that were being successfully implemented by the largest companies on the planet, and churning out graduates who only knew one way to do marketing. Brand builder marketing and advertising became the de facto standard for how you do it. And after a few years, no one even questioned the formula. Which brings us to the crux of the problem. All of us alive today grew up in the era of the brand builders, where almost all the advertising you've ever seen or ever heard is a product of them. Think about Mad Men. As a result, we've all become conditioned as to what constitutes a good ad. We've learned that fundamental pattern for what you put into a commercial. We've learned about slogans and jingles and being funny. We've learned that in marketing and advertising, the outside perception no longer has to reflect the inside reality. Let me repeat. Everything you've ever learned about generating leads and growing your business is wrong. And now you know why. And as a result of this new breed of advertising, jargon has now started to dominate all marketing and advertising. Think of jargon as words or phrases that are drearily commonplace, predictable. Phrases that lack power to evoke interest because they're just overused and repeated so often. However, they're said in marketing all the time, all day, every day, and stated as if they were original or significant. In advertising, you see and hear jargon all the time. Since businesses only have 30 seconds to try and convey what makes them special, they lump everything into jargon, such as largest selection, most professional, lowest prices, highest quality, best service, fastest, most convenient, largest in the universe, more honest, we're experts, we specialise, we work harder, get the job done first time, the right way, been in business for 4,000 years. Look, I'm not saying that you shouldn't use those kind of things. They make up the foundations of some of your inside reality. But consider this. If my marketing says that I offer high quality and great service, isn't that just commonplace and predictable? It lacks power because it's overused and repeated so often. Everyone's saying it. Advertisers use jargon as though it was original and significant. Does my inside reality really shine through this jargon? See, you simply can't describe, demonstrate, and exhibit your inside reality using jargon. It's impossible. And unfortunately, the end result is an outside perception that you're no different than anyone else. There's absolutely no distinction, no separation, and no differentiation. None. You just flat out cannot make your inside reality and outside perception match up when you use jargon like this. So go on, take another look at your advertising and your website maybe, and let's run a few evaluation techniques. Number 1, the well, I would hope so technique. When you make a claim, don't think about it in terms of the words coming out of your mouth. Think about it in terms of the words entering your prospect's ears. This will enable you to realize just how absurd most jargon sounds. Look at the messaging in your marketing and then ask yourself if the prospect's immediate response might not be, well, I would hope so. Classic example, satisfaction guaranteed. Free quotes. We accept Visa and MasterCard. Well, I would hope so. The problem is that if your business has exceptional inside reality and you're using the same jargon as everyone else, then the outside perception is that you're all the same. That's when prospects default to the business offering the lowest price. Price has now become the only determining factor. All right. Evaluation tip number 2. We call, who else can say that? So, stop thinking in terms of who can do what you do. Instead, start thinking in terms of who can say what you say. And I tell you what, the answer is really sad because unfortunately anybody and everybody can say what you say and probably are. The last jargon evaluation technique is called the Scratch Out Write In test. Take another look at your marketing. Scratch out your competitor's name and write in yours or the other way around. That's it. If the marketing is still valid, if the website still conveys the same basic message, then guess what? you have just failed that test. Is it evident that this might be a problem for you now? It probably is. But imagine the tremendous competitive advantage if you could figure out how to fix this for your own business. Introducing what we call the conversion equation. This enables you to eliminate jargon forever. It's also going to enable you to become a communications powerhouse and make your outside perception an excellent reflection of your inside reality. And finally, start getting you the results from your marketing that you should have been getting all along. Okay, the conversion equation has 4 main components. The first component is the interrupt. We've spoken about that before. This is simply the process of getting your ideal customer to pay attention to your marketing. And it's best achieved by appealing to them on an emotional level. The second component is to engage. Once you've interrupted, promise your prospect a solution and information to help them make the best decision possible. Again, this is best accomplished on an emotional level. The third component is to educate. Once you've interrupted and engaged, you have to give them information that allows them to logically understand how and why you can solve their emotionally based problem. This is accomplished by giving detailed, inside reality revealing information. This turns the corner from an emotional sell into a logical sell. And the fourth and final component of the conversion equation is the offer. Now, the prospect is engaged emotionally and logically. The last step is for you to give that prospect a low or better no risk way for them to take the next step in your sales process. This can be accomplished by offering a free marketing tool, a report, video content, a seminar, something that educates them even more. The prospect is in complete control of this decision-making process. This conversion equation follows the formula for what marketing is supposed to have been doing all along, namely, to interrupt, engage, educate, and offer. We're going to hand it over to Bruce now to do the Jane Doe brain section, the scientific section for the presentation.
Okay, thank you, Jen. Okay, people, remember earlier we discussed that if you want to know why Jane Doe buys what Jane Doe buys, you've got to see the world through Jane Doe's eyes. Well, I'd submit to you that if you want to know what Jane Doe sees, you first need to understand how Jane Doe's brain works, how it processes information and makes decisions. Now, to understand this process, there are 3 major concepts to explain. The 3 concepts that no one else in the world of marketing understands. The 3 concepts that will make all the difference in the world to your marketing effectiveness and your profitability. The 3 things you need to know about Jane Doe's brain are downtime, uptime, and the reticular activator. Now, let's begin by discussing downtime. Downtime is a hypnotic state of running automatic patterns that allows your brain to perform habitual tasks without any conscious thought. We do this all the time. Okay, now in marketing terms, what it means is that people see and hear ads with their eyes and ears, but don't notice them on a conscious level. Not very good for your marketing. Now let's look at uptime. This is a brain state of alertness and active engagement. Here's what uptime means when it comes to your marketing. When your prospect is in uptime mode, they consciously notice your ads and they're open to your suggestions and your solutions. Something captures their attention and that compels them to keep paying attention. The key to marketing is to get your prospect out of downtime and into uptime. Now, once you understand how to do this, you've got the ability to make a fortune with your marketing. Now, the last thing we're going to look at is the reticular activator. This is the part of your brain that's on the lookout 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even when you're asleep. It constantly scans the environment looking for things that fall into any of these 3 categories. Things that are familiar, things that are unusual, and things that are problematic. Now, when your brain detects any of these 3 categories on a subconscious level, it sends a message over to the conscious side of your brain and says, poke, poke, hey, wake up. there's something here you need to pay attention to. Whatever those familiar, unusual, or problematic things are, we call them activators. Whenever your brain finds an activator, it pokes your conscious brain, it snaps it out of downtime sleep mode and into uptime alert mode. Okay, back to Jen.
Okay, so what does any of this have to do with marketing? Well, the short answer is absolutely everything. Understanding what wakes people up so that they pay attention to what's going on in our marketing, getting them past that interrupt stage and onto the engage stage, by doing that, we've increased our chances of selling to them by 1,000%. This is going to solve the problem that pretty much every other marketer hasn't been able to figure out, which is not just getting them interrupted, but also getting them engaged. Not just finding any old activator, but finding the right activator. Any idiot can simply interrupt people. In fact, it's actually very easy to do. The so-called marketing gurus of the ponytail and push are doing it all day, every day. Those guys prefer to use activators that are based on things that are familiar and unusual, because they're the easiest to pull off. Have you ever noticed how many animals are used in advertising? That's because animals are familiar and likable. And the idea is that those animals will interrupt you by poking your conscious brain when they're detected by your reticular activator. Chum has its Scotty dog, Bundy Rum has its bear. All of these animals have really good interim value based on their familiarity and likability. That's also the major reason that big advertisers use celebrities. Familiarity. And what about activators based on unusual things? Well, that's what creativity is all about. Creativity's main purpose in advertising is to dream up something so weird, so strange, so unusual that it's going to snap you out of downtime and into uptime, otherwise known as the interrupt. But here's the key, and what just may be one of the more important things you learn in this presentation today, is once the brain is activated, once it's been snapped out of downtime and into uptime, it wants to be engaged. So it immediately and subconsciously searches for additional clarifying information. It searches for additional facts. If it finds them, it'll become engaged. If it doesn't, it's going to snap back into downtime. We call these important relevant issues hot buttons. If you're a cricket fan and your reticular activator detects Shane Warne, he's on TV, notices that on a conscious level, because Shane Warne is familiar, he's an activator. Then your brain immediately asks, hey, what's Shane doing with hair replacement? What's going on here? Is there anything that's relevant or important to me here? Or in other words, is this a hot button issue for me at this point in my life? An activator is something that snaps a person from downtime into uptime, and it's based on something that's familiar, unusual, or problematic. But an activator can also be classified as a hot button if, and only if, it's based on something that's important and relevant to your prospect. Your best bet to successfully interrupt and engage your target market is to identify problems, frustrations, uncertainties, and annoyances that your prospect have, and then address them in your marketing. Their pain, in almost all cases, is their hot button. Look, all we're doing here is tapping into the problems that they already have. We're not trying to manufacture a crisis or anything. We're merely poking at their problems and pointing those out so that their reticular activator notices it, brings it up onto their active radar screen. Now here's the key point to all of this, and one that most of the big ad agencies don't even understand, but one that you'll need to know in order to make this all work for you. The activators that are used to interrupt the prospect must be based on a relevant hot button. If not, the prospect will momentarily be interrupted, but will quickly revert to downtime in the blink of an eye. It's called false uptime. This happens in marketing all the time. Most marketing interrupts, but it doesn't engage. Just like Shane Warne and the hair replacement. If you don't have a hair loss issue, You're back in downtime quick as a look-at-you. You've been conditioned to believe that as long as you've interrupted the prospect, that's it, that's good enough. But you have to realize that that's only the interrupt stage and only 1/4 of the conversion equation. You've got to include all 4 components: interrupt, engage, educate, and offer, to get the maximum results from your marketing and advertising. Now, when it comes to writing the marketing, we need to portray hot buttons in the form of headlines. The headline is the very first opportunity you have to interrupt Jane Doe. You've got maybe 1 second, 3 tops, to interrupt that prospect. So the headline has to have activators in it. Activators that are based on things that are important and relevant to Jane Doe. Remember hot buttons, words and phrases that describe problems, frustrations, the pain that the prospect is feeling, so that their reticular activator latches onto them and snaps them into uptime. Let me give you a quick example of a child psychologist who works in the kids with behavioural difficulties field. Most of these kind of professionals in the caring professions, they tend to use words like, we offer parenting advice and resources, or we can help get your child under control, or learn the secrets of well-behaved children. Look, as a parent with a screaming, out-of-control kid that's losing it in the supermarket, why on earth would you want to know the secrets of well-behaved children? See what I mean? Just no one's getting it? That everything you know about marketing is wrong? I tell you what, if you have a child like that, basically an uncontrollable, unmanageable demon that's embarrassing you wherever you go, aren't you desperate for a solution for that behaviour? So what we did is we changed the headline to, "Are you sick and tired of the yelling, screaming and belligerent attitude of your child?" Now, doesn't that immediately address the conversation going on in the heads of these parents? Won't that headline immediately interrupt them and knock them out of downtime and into uptime? Look, of course it will, because it hits on the prospect's hot buttons of uncontrollable kids. Okay, to wrap up this discussion about interrupt and engage, let's just quickly address the topic of engage. To successfully engage, all you have to do is use a sub-headline that promises the reader that if they keep reading or listening to this ad, they're going to get information that'll help them make the best decision possible. Not sales information, not here's how great we are information, but rather bona fide decision-making information. Sometimes the headline itself will engage, but way more frequently, it's the sub-headline that makes the promise to educate and therefore engages. Back to the child psychologist's landing page. His sub-headline underneath the headline: now you can discover the secrets to controlling your child and instantly restore peace and quiet in your home. Show me just one parent experiencing that sort of behavior from their kids who wouldn't immediately respond to this ad. The sub-headline has engaged that prospect to continue reading to find out what this decision facilitating information is. And that brings us to the third and fourth component of the conversion equation: educate and offer. I mentioned earlier in the presentation that every marketing piece should contain a no-risk offer, encouraging the prospect to take the next step. And that offer should generally be to receive more educational information that also builds your case. Now here's the real key to success in marketing. The right offer allows you to capture a large percentage of all future buyers, in addition to those who are ready to buy right now. There's an educational process that the prospect is going through from the moment they start thinking about buying your product to the point where they actually complete the purchase. Most marketing, in fact almost all marketing, only caters to those now buyers who'll be making that purchase in the very near future today, and does nothing, in fact very little, to educate those who are just thinking about it or who are in researching mode. Now here's the big problem with that. At any given moment, now buyers only represent 1 to 5% of all of those who are ultimately going to buy what you sell. You're leaving 95 to 99% of prospects on the table. They're out there and thinking about it in research mode, and when they're attempting to gather information, no one's giving it to them. This is where the fourth component of the conversion equation becomes absolutely massive. Your offer gives the opportunity of providing additional educational information to the 99% who are in information gathering mode, and in the process capture valuable information about who these people are so that you can proactively market to them on an ongoing basis. The child psychologist offered information on gaining control of their kid in 60 seconds or less. But here's the great part of having an offer like that. When parents go online, and I tell you what, they couldn't get that information fast enough, the child psychologist has now captured that prospect's contact information and can proactively communicate with them from now until ever by providing them with additional decision-making information until they finally become ready to buy. Depending on what you sell and the specific situation, there are 8 main types of informational offers that we use to create offers for your prospects. If you want to dominate your marketplace, you have got to get your offers right as well. Hopefully this is coming together for you now. Interrupt, engage, educate, and offer. That makes up the conversion equation. And that equation literally is the backbone of all the incredibly successful marketing campaigns that we've ever put together. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. You can probably tell from the depth of information in this presentation that this is a bona fide step-by-step system that helps business owners just like you and me become financially free using superior marketing that makes your phone ring. Our passion is helping the unsung hero of our economy, the small business owner, and making sure they see this education and applying this education to their businesses. You do this right now, you're going to start seeing increases in your marketing results and your profitability. You'll be spending less and achieving outstanding results. Our goal is to make sure everyone who takes this training on knows exactly that they really can get out of this world results from their marketing. Sadly, the reality of scraping and battling along in small business today equates to no more than working for a badly paying job. Now, you've got the power to change all of that.
Okay, thanks Jen. Wonderful presentation. Very good information. People, if you take away nothing else at all today, please remember this, that we have the tools, the resources and the support to accomplish your business goals in record time. However, for anyone who's registered and attended this very special inaugural event today, the SME Association has kindly sponsored 10 $5,000 scholarships. They're professional marketing scholarships. It's going to enable recipients to receive weekly professional strategic marketing help for an entire year. Application forms will be mailed to you soon after the end of the webinar, so in an hour or so. It's a simple 5-question, 2-minute form. Complete the form as soon as possible, and successful applicants will be advised by mid-January. If you've got any questions, queries about today's session, please feel free to email Jen Barnes. It's jen@smartbizproject.com. You might want to copy that down. Thanks for attending. Hope you found the information valuable. Remember, information without application is worthless, so set aside some time to implement these changes and watch your marketing results improve. And finally, we both wish you a very Merry Christmas, pleasant New Year to you and all your family, and a prosperous 2015.